Thank you so much. And I definitely think we're going to enjoy the next couple of days here. I don't think everybody realizes, being that Philadelphia is so close to New York, you don't always think about coming to Philadelphia, but it really is quite a wonderful city. Okay, so next up, we are going to have the director's update. We'll ask Pavla to come up and give that. She's going to talk about our board meeting yesterday.
So hello, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here with you again, to see you all, to see some of those who have been in Amsterdam who were able to make it then, and to see many of new people who haven't been there, but who made it finally here. So, and that was one of the purposes why we organized one meeting in Europe and the second one here in the States, to allow as many people as possible to be present, because after those 2.5 years of being only on screens, we believe that's essential to meet in person and to be able to interact with our colleagues and friends. Well, David, Barry, thank you very much for having us here. That's a great pleasure. And I'm one of the maybe few ones who remember the last Philadelphia conference when David was still with Paul Block back in 2005. So Philadelphia, thank you very much for having us again. I would like to greet also those who are following us online, because we have, same as we had in Amsterdam, we have the possibility to share this session with other colleagues who couldn't make it to come over and who join us over the screen. So hello, everyone. Pleased to have you with us, at least this way. And I'd like just to very shortly comment on this year in particular, because after those 2.5 years of all kinds of challenges brought by the pandemic, I think that this year didn't bring too much relief, in a sense that once we took off our masks from our faces, there was something happening in the east of Europe, something that we would have never thought probably that would happen, to have in the 21st century a real conventional war again on the European continent. And although it might seem to be quite local, it already has serious impact, and it certainly will have on Europe as a whole, and maybe also some other parts of the world, if not the whole world. So that's something we had to face as a challenge, and the consequences coming out of it, which again in Europe will be quite substantial in terms of energy shortages and energy price rises and so on. And last but not least, another, I would say, constant or symbol of stability disappeared last Thursday when Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth II passed away. And I don't know how about for all of you, but for me, that was really a symbol of stability of the 20th and beginning of 21st century, because that was something I was always looking at as the, that's the constant. It doesn't change. That's something I can always believe to. And she was kind of an example, I think, how important certain persons or certain symbols might be in the ever-changing world. And so I think that we are just at the point to see all kinds of changes, not only in our lives, but also in the world itself. So it might be good for us lawyers, it might be bad for us. It will certainly be challenging for everyone as humans, I would say. And having said that, it brings me to the idea of, having at least some certainties in our lives. And for me, one of the certainties is this network. It's been 23 years since our firm has been a member, and I can see the network evolve, enlarge, develop in many senses, but there is still something that stays. And it's very much important for me, and I hope it's also a value for all of you. It's the friendship, the relationships, and the high standards of, communication we have. And that's something we can always build on, even in the uncertain times that we are facing. And now, regarding the board meeting yesterday. So, as you might know, or as I have mentioned maybe in my past notes at the past conferences, the board is meeting every quarter. Even during the pandemic, we have done online meetings, and it's the same method that goes on. If we can meet in person, we do. If not, we meet online. Even more frequently, the executive committee is meeting. It's every month's meeting, mostly online. So we were quite happy that we could have met with the other board members yesterday in person. And we discussed plenty of issues. But the most important, what I would like to highlight, I'd say, is that all the members have paid their dues for this year, timely, which was not automatic in the past. And I think by the end of March, majority of them was paid. So thank you very much for doing so. We have, over this year, since the beginning of this year, we have invited and approved 7 new member firms, which is a record in the history of the network, including African members, which might be of interest for many of you. And also good news for you, the membership dues will not be increased for next year. Although all kinds of prices are going up, the membership dues remain the same. We will only reintegrate the conference advance payment, which used to be the practice before the pandemic, which means that with the dues, you will have to pay basically an advance payment for one conference. It may make your budgeting easier for the following year, and it should encourage all the member firms to come to at least one of the conferences. And also great news that the amount of referrals, and Lindsay will certainly get to it in more detail later on, but the amount of referrals among our firms has raised by 30%, which is also a great achievement, I would say. And thank you for being so active, and thank you for the work that you are sending out and treating in. And maybe one point that we have certainly mentioned in Amsterdam, but for those who have not been there, this year ILN was named or selected the Lawyers Network of the Year. So first time ever, let's say, and we were far in front of bigger networks or even more older networks. So that's another great achievement that is based on very thorough research and interviewing of not only the board members, but also some of the members. And so it's really something. It's not just a, let's say, a slogan or a logo to be put somewhere. To conclude, we are quite happy that hopefully the pandemic will no more be an issue, at least for us Europeans, since the Ukrainian war, it's no more an issue. So hopefully we are going to be back to our usual business. That means having conferences at least twice or 3 times a year. So mark your calendars. Next year, there is going to be an annual conference in Rio in May, 25th through 29th, and European Regional Conference, October 5th through October 8th in Prague. So let me thank you for your engagement, support, and your involvement in the network. Thank you on behalf of the board and on behalf of Lindsay, especially, because she is the one that does the work, most of the work. She is the only employee. Sometimes maybe she might be aided by her dogs, but that's probably not so substantial. And And last but not least, I have seen a number of first-time attendees in this group. So please, you guys who are more, let's say, embedded with the network, please make those first-time attendees feel like they are really welcome and they are part of this group that uses the logo or the motto where lawyers become friends. So please make the first-time attendees feel really welcome. I wish you enjoyable conference, a lot of laughs, a lot of good interactions, professional exchanges, and well, great next 2 days.
Thank you, Pavla. And